It was around 11:40 p.m. when I got to the bus stop. I remember checking the time twice because it felt later than usual. The street was almost empty, just a few parked cars and one flickering streetlight above the bench. I had already missed the earlier bus, so this was the last one for the night. I wasn't expecting it to come on time. But after maybe a minute or two, I saw headlights turning the corner. That felt off already. The bus slowed down as it approached, but it didn't come to a complete stop. It just kind of rolled forward slowly, like it wasn't planning to wait. The doors opened anyway. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just stepped on quickly before it moved again. As soon as I got inside, the first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not just late night quiet, I mean completely silent. No conversations, no movement, not even the usual hum you hear from the engine. I glanced around. There was no one else on the bus. That wasn't too strange by itself. It was late, but something about it didn't feel normal. Usually, there's at least one or two people scattered in the seats. I walked forward a bit toward the middle, and that's when I noticed the driver. He was sitting there, hands on the wheel, just staring straight ahead. I kind of nodded out of habit, like you do when you get on a bus. He didn't respond, didn't look at me, didn't move at all. I figured maybe he just didn't see me, so I didn't think much of it. I went and sat down a few rows behind him on the left side. The doors closed a second later, and the bus started moving again. At first, everything seemed normal. We passed a couple of streets I recognized. The same dim lights, the same empty sidewalks. I pulled out my phone, just scrolling to pass time. But after a few minutes, I started to notice something. The bus wasn't slowing down at any stops, not even slightly. We passed one, then another, and then another. No signal, no indicator, nothing. I looked up thinking maybe I missed something. Maybe there weren't any scheduled stops this late. But that didn't make sense. This route always stopped at the same places. I leaned slightly into the aisle and looked toward the front again. The driver hadn't moved. Still the same position, hands on the wheel, facing forward. I waited a bit longer just to be sure. Another stop passed. No slowing down. That's when I started feeling a little uneasy. Not scared, just that feeling when something doesn't add up and you can't explain why. I told myself maybe he was trying to make up time or something. Still, I stood up and walked a little closer to the front. "Excuse me?" I said, not too loud. No response. I waited a second. "Are you stopping at the next station?" Nothing. He didn't even react like he heard me. That's when I noticed something else. From where I was standing, I still couldn't see his face. Not clearly, at least. The lighting above him was dim, and the angle made it look like his face was just in shadow. I stepped a little closer. Still nothing. He didn't turn, didn't shift, didn't acknowledge me at all. It felt strange, but I didn't want to overreact. Some people just ignore passengers, I guess. So I went back to my seat. That's when I looked outside again. And this time, I didn't recognize anything. No shops, no signs, no buildings I'd seen before. Just long stretches of road and occasional streetlights. I checked my phone for the route, but there was no signal. That didn't make sense either. By now, I was definitely uncomfortable. I stood up again, this time more slowly, and walked toward the front. I don't know why, but I didn't want to get too close. I just stopped a few steps behind the driver's seat. That's when I noticed the rearview mirror. It was positioned higher than usual, angled slightly toward the passenger seats. Toward me. I stared at it for a second. At first, I didn't see anything unusual, just the reflection of the empty seats behind me. Then I realized something. In the reflection, I was sitting down, in my seat, perfectly still. I didn't move right away. I just stared at it, trying to process what I was looking at. Because I was standing, could feel my legs. I was right there, near the front, but in the mirror, I was still sitting where I had been before. That's when my chest tightened. I slowly turned my head just enough to look back toward my seat. It was empty. Completely empty. I looked back at the mirror again, and there I was, sitting there, not moving. I don't know how long I stood there just staring at it. Then, without thinking, my eyes shifted forward, toward the driver. He was still there, same position, hands on the wheel, the bus still moving. I looked back up at the mirror one more time, and that's when I noticed it. The driver's seat, in the reflection, was empty. No one was there, but right in front of me, he hadn't moved. I didn't say anything after that. I didn't move either. I just stood there, watching the mirror, then looking forward again. Mirror, then forward, each time hoping I was wrong. Each time it was the same. The bus never slowed down, and the driver never turned around. I don't know how long I stood there like that. It felt like minutes, but it could have been longer. The bus just kept moving. Same steady speed, same empty road outside. No turns, no stops. I tried to look away from the mirror, but every time I did, I felt like I was missing something. Like if I didn't keep checking, something would change or get worse. I finally forced myself to step back. Slowly, I moved away from the front and went back toward the middle of the bus. I didn't sit down this time. I just stood there, holding onto the pole, trying to think clearly. None of it made sense. The reflection, the driver, the road. I pulled my phone out again, hoping for a signal. Still nothing. That's when I realized something else. The sound. There still wasn't any. No engine noise, no vibration, nothing that matched how fast we were moving. It was like the bus was just gliding. I looked toward the front again. The driver hadn't moved at all, not once. At that point, I didn't care if I was overreacting. I walked back up, faster this time. "Hey!" I said, louder. No response. I got closer. "Can you stop the bus?" Nothing. I don't know what made me do it, but I reached out slightly, like I was about to tap his shoulder. But I stopped. Something about it didn't feel right, like I shouldn't touch him, like that would make things worse. I pulled my hand back immediately. That's when I looked up at the mirror again. My reflection was still sitting down, completely still, and the driver's seat, still empty. That was it. That's when panic actually kicked in. "Stop the bus!" I shouted. My voice sounded louder than it should have in that space, but nothing changed. The driver didn't react, didn't even flinch. "Stop the bus!" I yelled again. Still nothing. I started shouting over and over, not even thinking about what I was saying anymore, just louder each time. "Stop! Hey! Can you hear me?" I don't know how long I kept going. It felt like forever. My throat started to hurt. My voice was getting rough, but I didn't stop. I just kept yelling, hoping something would change. The road outside stayed the same. Dark, empty, endless. The driver stayed still. The mirror stayed wrong. At some point, I think I started hitting the pole beside me, just to make noise. Anything to break that silence. I must have been shouting for around 10 minutes, maybe more. Then suddenly, the bus slowed down. It was so sudden that I almost lost my balance. For the first time since I got on, I could actually feel movement. The bus came to a stop, and the doors opened. Just like that. No announcement, no signal, just open. I didn't look at the driver. I didn't look at the mirror again. I just moved, fast. I got off the bus as quickly as I could, almost stumbling onto the road. The second my feet hit the ground, I turned and started running. I didn't even check where I was. I just recognized enough of the area to know I wasn't too far. I kept running until I reached my street, then straight to my house. I didn't look back once, not at the road, not at the bus, nothing. I just got inside, locked the door, and stayed there. I didn't take that bus again after that, not at night, not ever. And I still don't know if there was ever really someone driving it.